gosh. The first day of school, very emotional for me. He didn't go to preschool. He started with kindergarten. Because I didn't want to let him go. His relationship with all of his siblings, he has 6 altogether. His relationship is very good with all of them. He was very active in the church, and everybody was crazy about him. The pastor that we have now just loves Darian so much and just thinks he's an overall pleasant young man.
Darren was one of the first young people that I met at this church, and I don't think that was by accident. He made himself available to me.
Amen.
And let me know that he was there to serve. This church was located in South St. Louis, surrounded by uh, what I saw as increasing problems in that neighborhood. And the first thing that he ever said to me was, "What can I do to help?" And I didn't ask him, he asked me. And that let me know what kind of person Darren was.
When he was at church, he would always help the seniors either up the elevator, up the steps, carrying their purse. He'd take their bags upstairs and then he'd come back down and help them up the steps. He was just all around a very well-mannered young man.
When I first met him, he was helping an elderly lady up the steps. We had a lot of steps at the church at that time, and he was helping the lady up. And he had her bags and her arm, and he was wobbly, So he always did things without people asking him to do them, He was, when we have like the church cleanup, he was over there pitching in. You didn't hear him cursing or, railing about somebody telling him something to do, He was just a easygoing guy.
Anybody asked him for help, he was there. He was always right there. He was on the junior usher board. Just always willing to help wherever needed. Sunday school, he was always on top of everything like that. I mean, he learned very quickly. And, like I say, anything you asked him to do, he did it.
He's a good kid, happy-go-lucky kid. I can ask him to do anything. He's willing to do it without no argument whatsoever.
He didn't wait to be asked to do anything. He volunteered. And
Amen.
he was interested in finding out what could he do to help. And that to me was more important than anything.
We used to have night services sometimes, and it was dark, and the ladies needed help. And the first person that go out there and help them to their cars or something was Darian. So it's an impact. It's an impact, definitely. He was one of the older ones was one of the older kids in our church. So the youth gravitated to him. They loved jumping on him, and he just wrestled with them and going to the park and everything. When we have church picnics, he's out there playing with the kids and having a hallelujah good time. I can definitely use Darian at this moment.
He was interested not only in the church as an organization, he was interested in growing as an individual, and I wanted to be sure to help him.
And he's not a typical kid. Most kids, school is boring, I don't like it. Not him. He loves school.
He liked to read, he liked to study.
He had this one particular teacher that he had in Frable, named Miss Davis. He had her in fourth and fifth grade, and to this day, she still stays in touch with him, and he always asks about her. That was like one of his favorite all-time teachers, and they had a really close relationship.
I know Darian because he was my student. He came to me in the 4th grade, and I looped to another grade with him, 5th grade. So I had him as a student for 2 years. Initially he came to me, he was low academically, but he listened and he learned and he excelled.
He was real inquisitive. I'm the teacher for the male Sunday school, and a couple of times he came, he was real curious. You know, I enjoyed being around him.
He was very mannerable, respectful. I never had to ask him to do anything twice.
Because he was always doing something constructive. He was a good kid. He was smart.
Education to Darian was very important. Darian was a honor roll student all through school. If he got anything less than a B, he was disappointed because he was a stickler about his education. Very stickler.
He loved science, so he said he wanted to be a pediatrician. He started out low in reading, and I saw how he progressed. He didn't progress minimally, he progressed. I mean, it was like a fast pace because he did everything I asked him to do, you know, like reading, doing homework, and just participating. And so I saw him excelling to 4th grade, from 4th grade to 5th grade. So, and then he was so good in science, I knew he would be the pediatrician that he wanted to be. If someone came in our classroom and interrupted the classroom, Darian continued to work. I've never had that before in all my 22 years of teaching. I never had that where, because kids, they want to look, because that dedication allowed him to progress from where he was to where he will be one day. So he's a success to me. I always said he would be a success, and he is, so, to me, in my heart.
He was such a well-mannered child, and he was always making sure Mama was okay. If I was having a bad day, he'd come and brighten, you know, give me a hug, say, "Mama, you okay? What was your day like?" You know, regardless of what he was going through, he always made sure that I was okay.
Darian was a person. He never initiated anything negative in my sight. He was bullied by other students. This one little boy would always want to fight Darian. It was his buddy, but he was very aggressive. And he hit Darian in the eye and broke his glasses. And Darian said, "That's all right." Because I was like, you know, "I'm going to take you to the principal, blah, blah, blah." And Darian said, "No, that's okay. He didn't mean to." And this little boy not only hit him those 2 times, but other times too. And he would always excuse it. "That's okay. I'm okay. I'm okay." And I thought, "Well, Darian, you're not okay. Your glasses are broken." And he hit you in your eye. He said, "I'm fine. I'm okay." You know, he didn't want the other little boy to get in trouble. He was bullied by not only males, but females also. One particular girl used to bully him all the time. She talked about his clothing, his shoes, his house, his mother, his sisters, and she always told him what she would do to him because she really was mean to him. As a matter of fact, she went to his house to fight him. So she would bully him all the time. He always wanted to take care of his mom, so I knew that he would excel to make sure that his mom was okay and took care of his mother. Down the road, I began to talk to her. She was so into her kids, and I just saw how much she cared about him. And I think because of the love that she showed him, I saw him as a person that he would always take care of his mother. Not only his mom, his little brother, his sister that were here, they were all close. They were some of our best students, and if you talk to my principal, those kids never got in trouble, never. He was a protective brother.
Or even over his older sisters, he was always very protective. Even with his little brother and little sister now, I take them down there to see him, and he's always questioning them. You know, making sure she don't have no boyfriend. You know how they're doing in school and how their behavior is, and making sure they're staying on the straight and narrow. Sorry.
The middle boy was a little timid, and Darian would always put his arms around him because he would cry. You know, I remember his first day in kindergarten. He cried and cried and cried, and Darian would go console him, put his arm around him, and I would tell him and walk him to the kindergarten classroom. You know, so and that went on for a long time. Darren received also, he received the Student of the Year Award, which he received in fourth grade too. He received honor roll fourth grade, not the first quarter, not the first semester, but second semester, both semesters in fifth grade, and received Student of the Year both years. And also he had other awards from his art teacher, his music teacher, his PE teacher, because they thought the same of Darren. Darren he wasn't a person that you would hear people talking about him throughout the school, but if you mention him, oh yes, he was a good boy. He was a good kid. You know, everyone said that on his report card. He obeyed all. He never stood in my corner. He never lost recess for doing the wrong thing. He was always conscious of doing the right thing, and I appreciated it about him. My relationship with Darian went outside the classroom, outside the school building. His mother allowed me to sponsor him when he graduated from middle school. He and I had lunch on a Saturday, because during the school week I couldn't do that. It's off, you can't do this off limits. I got permission from her. I took him shopping and let him pick out an outfit, shoes. I just dressed him from head to toe because I wanted him to be the best looking one at his middle school graduation. I have two grandsons around his age, maybe a little bit older. We all went to Six Flags because I wanted Darren to be part of my grandson's lives because he was a good kid. I wanted my grandsons to hang around him.
Because Bush is a very hard school to get into, which is his middle school. You have to have a certain academic level and behavior level and everything. Bush was a very low tolerable school. They don't tolerate a whole lot of mess.
I probably met Darian in sixth grade and had him sixth, seventh, and eighth grade, or some combination of those years in classes. Darian was he was a good PE student in that he always was prepared and participated in class. He was a very quiet boy, didn't seem to have a lot of interaction with the other students, but he was a very good PE student in terms of participating and doing what was expected of him for PE classes. He was a nice young man. Darian, he was polite, never had any problems with him in terms of being disrespectful, talking back.
As far as, outrageous things, that's not him, that's not his personality. He didn't believe in fighting, he's an all-around good kid. Eighth grade graduation was, it was really good. He graduated from Bush Middle School. They graduated in gymnasium. He was so happy. He was looking forward to high school and bigger and better things for him to come. He was really, really proud of himself that he had made it that far. He had already had his mind set up. He wanted Gateway because of the reputation that Gateway had as being a STEM school and everything that they had to offer him. I visit him every week. And he'll ask us how work's going, how his brothers and sisters are doing, just how everybody's doing. We talk about plans for the future a lot. I ask him what his plans are when he comes home, and he's still determined on that education. That's one of his top priorities right now.
I believe if given the opportunity, Darren would probably be in college about now. And I think he would probably be a scientist because that's the way he rolled, as they say. He was just a curious kid.
I think that if he was around today, he would be trying to grow as a student, and I think that he would be asking some elderly person if they needed some help up the stairwell outside.
He will always resonate in my heart, always, always, yes.
It's hard to see your child like that. I usually try to stay strong for him because I know he don't need to see me like that.